Hello, my name is Donna Hill, and this is my instruction project for Technical Writing English 314. For my instruction project, I am showing you how to make gyoza. When making gyoza, ensure you have all the ingredients needed before starting the recipe. I've done this countless times. The following ingredients instructions is enough to make 20 gyoza. Sift the flour into a bowl. Sifting helps aerate your flour and ensures there are no lumps, as when the flour is put into a bag it tends to get packed down. If you do not have a sifter, you can instead give your flour a quick whisk with a whisker or fork. Add the salt and pour in the boiling water slowly, while stirring continuously with a wooden spoon or chopstick until a bowl of dough forms. If you live in a dry area, like Fairbanks, I suggest adding 1 tablespoon of water at a time until you can stir the dough until a ball forms. As soon as a ball of dough forms, cover the bowl with a clean, damp cloth. Let the flour sit for 1 hour. I suggest at this time to skip ahead to the filling recipe, as that also has to sit for 1 hour. After that hour has passed for the gyoza dough, remove the dough from the bowl and knead it on a floured surface until a smooth ball forms. That should take about 5 minutes. When your dough is kneaded into a smooth ball, cut your ball in half and then half those pieces again. You should end up with 4 pieces. With each piece, you should be able to cut out 5 wrappers. This can be a bit difficult, but just eyeball the pieces to ensure they are around the same thickness and size. Take the bits of dough you cut out and roll out those as thin as possible. I was taught that if you put the dough on your hand, you should be able to see your hand through the dough. This can be difficult, but as long as you keep rolling and keep the surface you're rolling on well floured, you should be able to do it. I personally like perfectly symmetrical wrappers, so I use a small bowl and cut out a circle from each rolled out piece. If you don't mind imperfect wrappers, go ahead and skip this step as it can be a bit tedious, or you can just buy your wrappers from Fred Meyer's. Now for the gyoza filling. Start out with the chopped cabbage, add the salt, and let sit. You do this before you chop all the other ingredients, as the cabbage does need to sit for 15 minutes in the salt. After sitting, you can then drain out the excess water. If you mix all the ingredients now, the cabbage will produce a bit too much moisture and cause your dumplings to split open when cooked. While your cabbage is sitting, chop up all your other meat and vegetable ingredients as finely as you can. If you have a food processor, I suggest using that, but if you're using the food processor, only process in short bursts, as you do not want an unidentifiable meat paste. If you're not using the food processor, chop up your vegetables and meat, and then add your vegetables, meat, and cabbage into a bowl. Next, add the salt, pepper, sesame oil, oyster and soy sauce, garlic, and ginger. Using a wooden spoon or your hands, mix the ingredients together. When the ingredients are mixed well, cover your bowl with saran wrap and let it sit in your refrigerator for 30 minutes to 1 hour. I generally like to make my mixture the night before and let it sit all night, as this will ensure the ingredients will absorb into one another beautifully. To wrap up your gyoza, you will need flour and a small bowl of water. Dust the surface that you'll be placing gyoza on with flour. This will prevent the wrappers from sticking and help make the wrappers extra crispy when cooked. Place the gyoza onto your hand or flat surface. Put 1 heaping teaspoon of the filling onto the center of the wrapper. I realize how tempting it is to put as much of the filling as you can onto the wrapper, but trust me on this, stick to 1 teaspoon. If the wrappers are overfilled, it will burst open when cooking. When you have the filling on the wrapper, dip your pointer finger into a small bowl of water and make a ring of water around half of the edge of the wrapper. Pick up your gyoza in one hand and pleat one side of the wrapper to the other. This is done by simply making little folds with the 2 edges of the wrapper. Ensure your seals are tight, as you do not want the filling to burst open from the loose pleats. Repeat this process until you have all your gyoza wrappers filled. At this point, you can cook or freeze your gyoza. To freeze, spread the gyoza on a baking sheet with a space between to stop them from sticking and set them into the freezer. Allow to freeze, and then when frozen, put your gyoza into a container, such as a Ziploc bag. They should keep in your freezer for up to 1 month. When you cook your frozen gyoza, cook as you usually would with fresh. Cooking your gyoza. For this, you'll need a fourth cup of water, half a teaspoon of sesame oil, and half a tablespoon of sesame oil. Place a pan onto your stove top and turn it on to a medium heat. Brush the pan with a half a teaspoon of sesame oil. Gently place the gyozas in the pan and cover. Let the gyozas fry for 5 minutes with the lid on. After the first 5 minutes have passed, add the fourth cup of water and quickly cover the pan again, turning the heat on high immediately. This will steam the gyoza. Cook for another 5 minutes. After the second 5 minutes have passed, add the half tablespoon of sesame oil and cook uncovered for 1 minute. When finished, serve the crunchy gyoza with dipping sauce. For the dipping sauce, you'll need rice wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and half a spring onion, thinly sliced. Mix all your ingredients up into one bowl. Dip your gyoza in and eat. Enjoy!